Hey guys, today we will be reading the Bible, so let's get started. I am preparing for you, and you shall be filled at my table with horses and charioteers, with mighty men and all kinds of warriors, declares the Lord God. I will set my glory among the nations, and all the nations shall see my judgment that I have executed in my hand, that I have laid on them. The house of Israel shall know that I am the Lord their God. From that day forward, of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they dealt so treacherously with me, that I hid my face from them, and I gave them into the hand of their adversaries. And they all fell by the sword, and I dealt with them according to their uncleanness and their transgressions, and I hid my face from them. The Lord will restore Israel. Therefore, thus says the Lord God, now I will restore the fortunes of Jacob and have mercy on the whole house of Israel, and I will be jealous for my holy name. They shall forget their shame and all the treachery they have practiced against me, when they dwell securely in their land, with none to make them afraid, when I have brought them back from the peoples and gathered them from their enemies' lands, and through them have vindicated my holiness in the sight of many nations. Then they shall know that I am the Lord their God, because I set them into exile among the nations and assembled them into their own land. I will leave none of them remaining among the nations any more, and I will not hide my face any more from them when I pour out my spirit upon the house of Israel, declares the Lord God. Vision of the new temple. In the 25th year of our exile, at the beginning of the year, on the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after the city was struck down that very day, the hand of the Lord was upon me, and he brought me to the city in the visions of God. He brought me to the land of Israel, and set me down on a very high mountain, on which was a structure like a city to the south. When he brought me there, behold, there was a man whose appearance was like bronze, with a lion cord and a measuring reed in his hand. And he was standing in the gateway. And the man said to me, Son of man, look with your eyes, and hear with your ears, and set your heart upon all that I shall show you, for you were brought here in order that I might show it to you. Declare all that you see to the house of Israel. The east gate to the outer court. And behold, there was a wall all around the outside of the temple area, and the length of the measuring reed in the man's hand was 6 long cubits, each being a cubit and a handbreadth in length. So he measured the thickness of the wall, 1 reed, in the height 1 reed. Then he went into the gateway, facing east, going up its steps, and measured the threshold of the gate 1 reed deep, and the side rooms 1 reed long, and 1 reed broad, and the space between the side rooms 5 cubits, and there's hold of the gate by the vestibule of the gate. At the inner end 1 reed. Then he measured the vestibule of the gateway on the inside 1 reed. Then he measured the vestibule of the gateway 8 cubits, and its jambs 2 cubits, and the vestibule of the gate was at the inner end, and there were 3 side rooms on either side of the east gate. The 3 were of the same size, and the jambs on either side were of the same size. And he measured the width of the opening of the gateway 10 cubits, and the length of the gateway 13 cubits. There was a barrier before the side room, 1 cubit on either side, and the side rooms were 6 cubits on either side. Then he measured the gate from the ceiling of one side room to the ceiling of the other, a breadth of 25 cubits. The opening faced each other. He measured 60 cubits, and around the gateway was the court, from the front of the gate at the entrance to the front of the entrance of the gate was 50 cubits, and the gateway had windows all around, narrowing inwards toward the side rooms and toward their jambs, and likewise they also had windows all around its side, and all the jambs were palm trees. The outer court. Then he brought me into the outer court, and behold, There were chambers and a pavement all around the court. 30 chambers faced the pavement, and the pavement ran along the side of the gates, corresponding to the length of the gates. This was the lower pavement. Then he measured the distance from the inner front of the lower gate to the outer front of the inner court, 100 cubits on the east side and on the north side. North gate. As for the gate that faced toward the north belonging to the outer court, he measured its length and its breadth, its side rooms, 3 on either side, and its jambs and its vestibule were the same size as those of the first gate. Its length was 50 cubits, and its breadth 25 cubits, and its windows as steeple, and its palm trees were of the same size as those of the gate that faced toward the east, and by 7 people would go up to it and find its vestibule before them, and opposite the gate on the north as on the east was a gate to the inner court, and he measured from gate to gate 100 cubits, the south gate. And he led me toward the south, and behold, there was a gate on the south, and he measured its jambs and its vestibule, and they had the same size as the others, both it and its vessel had windows all around, like the windows of the other. Its length was 50 cubits, and its breadth 25 cubits, and there were 7 steps leading up to it, and its vestibule was before them, and it had palm trees on its jambs. One on either side, and there was a gate on the south of the inner court. And he measured from gate to gate toward the south 100 cubits. The inner court. Then he brought me to the inner court for the south gate, and he measured the south gate. It was one of the same size as the others. Its side rooms, its jambs, and its vestibule were the same size as the others, and both it and its vestibule had windows all around. Its length was 50 cubits, and its breadth 25 cubits, and there were vestibules all around 25 cubits long and 5 cubits broad. Its vestibule faced the outer court, and palm trees were on its jambs, and its stairway had 8 steps. Then he brought me to the inner court on the east side, and he measured the gate. It was of the same size as the others. Its jambs and its vestibule were the same size as the others, and both in its had windows all around. Its length was 50 cubits, and its breadth 25 cubits. Its vestibule faced the outer court, and had palm trees on its jambs on either side. Stairway had 8 steps. Then he brought me to the north gate, and he measured it. It had the same size as the others. Its side rooms, its jambs, and its vestibule were the same size as the others, and it had windows all around. Its length was 50 cubits, and it was 25 cubits. Its vestibule faced the outer court, and it had palm trees on its jambs on either side, and its stairway had 8 steps. There was a chamber with its door in the gate, where the burnt offering was to be washed, and as well of the gate were 2 tables on either side, on which the burnt offering and the sin offering, the guilt offering, were to be slaughtered. And off to the side on the outside, as one goes up to the entrance of the north gate, were 2 tables, and off to the other side of the gate, where 4 tables were on either side of the gate, 8 tables on which to slaughter, and there were 4 tables of stone for the burnt offering, in a cubit and a half long, and a cubit and a half broad, and 1 cubit high, on which the instruments were to be laid, with which the burnt offerings and the sacrifice were slaughtered, and hooks a handbreadth long were fastened all around within. And on the tables the flesh of the offering was to be laid. Chambers for the priests. On the outside of the inner gateway, there were 2 chambers in the inner court, one at the side of the north gate facing south, the other at the side of the south gate facing north. And he said to me, the chamber that faces south is for the priests who have charge of the temple, and the chamber that faces north is for the priests who have charge of the altar. These are the sons of Zadok, who alone among the sons of Levi may come near to the Lord to minister to him, and he measured the core 100 cubits long and 100 cubits broad, square, and the altar was in the front of the temple. That's called the temple. Then he brought me to the temple, and he measured the gems of 5 cubits on either side, and the breadth of the gate was 14 cubits, and the side walls of the gate were 3 cubits on either side. The length of the was 20 cubits, and the breadth 12 cubits, and people would go up to it by steps, and there were pillars besides the gems, one on either side. The inner temple. Then he brought me to the nave and measured the gems on each side. 6 cubits was the breadth of the gems, and the breadth of the entrance was 10 cubits, and the sideways of the side walls of the entrance were 5 cubits. On either side he measured the length of the nave, 40 cubits, and the breadth 20 cubits. Then he went into the inner room and measured the gems of the entrance, 2 cubits, and the entrance is 6 cubits inside walls. On either side of the entrance, 7 cubits. He measured the length of the room, 20 cubits, and its breadth 20 cubits. Across the nave, and he said to me, "This is the most holy place." Then he measured the wall of the temple, 6 cubits thick, and the breadth of the side chambers, 4 cubits all around the temple, and the side chambers were in 3 stories, one over another, 30 in each story. There were offsets all around the wall of the temple to serve as supports for the side chambers, so that they should not be supported by the wall of the temple. And it became a border as it wound upward to the side chambers, because the temple was enclosed upward all around the temple. Thus the temple had a border area upward, and so one went up from the lowest story to the top story for the middle story. I saw also that the temple had raised platform all around. The foundation of the side chambers measured a full reed of 6 long cubits. The thickness of the outer wall of the side chambers was 5 cubits. The free space between the side chambers of the temple and the other chambers was a breadth of 20 cubits all around the temple on every side. And the doors of the side chambers opened on free space, one door toward the north and another door toward the south, and the breadth of the free space was 5 cubits all around. The building that was facing the separate yard on the west side was 20 cubits broad, and the wall of the building was 5 cubits thick all around, and its length 90 cubits when he measured the temple, 100 cubits long, and the yard and the building with its walls 100 cubits long. Also, with its walls 100 cubits long. Also, the breadth of its east front of the temple and yard 100 cubits. Then he measured the length of the building facing the yard that was at the back, and its galleries on either side 100 cubits. The inside of the nave and the holes of the court, there's hole in the narrow windows in the galleries. All around the 3 of them opposite there's hole were paneled with wood all around from the floor up to the windows. Now the windows were covered to the space above the door, even to the inner room, and on the outside, and all the walls, all around, inside and outside, was a measure pattern. It was carved with cherubim and palm trees. A palm tree between a cherub, and a cherub every cherub had 2 faces, a human face toward the palm tree on the one side, and the face of a young lion toward the palm tree on the other side. They were carved on the whole temple all around, from the floor to above the door. Cherubim and palm trees were carved similarly. The wall of the nave, the doorpost of the nave was squared, and the front of the holy place was something resembling an altar of wood, 3 cubits high, 2 cubits long, and 2 cubits broad. Its corner, its base, and its walls were of wood. He said to me, "This is the table that is before the Lord." The nave and the holy place had each a double door. The double doors had 2 leaves apiece, 2 swinging leaves for each door, and On the doors of the nave were carved cherubim and palm trees, such as were carved on the walls. And there was a cabinet of wood in front of the side, and there were narrow windows and palm trees on either side on the side walls of the side chambers of the temple and the camp. The temple's chamber. Then he led me out into the inner court toward the north, and he brought me to the chambers that were opposite the separate yard and opposite the building on the north. The length of the building, whose door was faced north, was 100 cubits, and the breadth 50 cubits, facing the 20 cubits that belonged to the inner court, and facing the pavement that belonged to the outer court was against Galilee in 3 stories, and before the chambers was a passage, and were 10 cubits wide and 100 cubits long, and their doors were on the north. Now the upper chambers were narrow, for the galleries took more away from them than from the lower and middle chambers of the building, for they were in 3 stories and had no pillars like the pillars of the courts. Thus the upper chambers were set back from the ground more than the lower and the middle ones. And there was a wall outside parallel to the chambers toward the outer court opposite the chambers, 50 cubits long, for the chambers on the outer court were 50 cubits long, while those opposite the nave were 100 cubits long. Below these chambers was an entrance on the east side, as one enters them from the outer court, and the thickness of the wall of the court on the south, also opposite the yard and the opposite the building. There were chambers with a passage in front of them. They were similar to the chambers on the north, of the same length and breadth, with the same exits, and an arrangement in doors. As were the entrance of the chambers on the south, there was an entrance at the beginning of the passage before the corresponding wall on the east as one enters them. Then he said to me, the north chambers and the south chambers opposite the yard are the holy chambers, where the priests who approach the Lord shall eat the most holy offerings. There they shall put the most holy offerings, the grain offering, the sin offering, and the guilt offering, for the place is holy. When the priests enter the holy place, they shall not go out of it into the outer court without laying there the garments in which they minister, for these are holy. They shall put on other garments before they go near to that which is for the people. Now when he had finished measuring the inner of the temple area, he led me out by the gate that faced east, and measured the temple area all around. He measured the east side with the measuring reed, 500 cubits by the measuring reed all around. He measured the north side 500 cubits by the measuring reed all around. He measured the south side 500 cubits by the measuring reed. Then he turned to the west side and measured 500 cubits by measuring reed. He measured it on 4 sides. It had a wall around it 500 cubits long and 500 cubits broad, to make it a separation between the holy and the common. The glory of the Lord fills the temple. Then he led me to the gate facing east, and behold, the glory of the God of Israel was coming from the east. And the sound of his coming was like the sound of many waters, and the earth shone with his glory. And the vision I saw was just like the vision that I had seen when he came to destroy the city, and just like the vision that I had seen by the chamber. And I fell on my face as the glory of the Lord entered the temple by the gate facing east. The Spirit lifted me up and brought me into the inner court, and behold, the glory of the Lord filled the temple. While the man was standing beside me, I heard one speaking to me out of the temple. And he said to me, Son of man, this is the place of my throne, and the place of the soles of my feet, where I will dwell in the midst of the people of Israel forever, and the house of Israel shall no more defile my holy name, neither they nor their kings by their whoring, and by the dead bodies of their kings at their high places, by setting their threshold by my threshold, and their doorposts beside my doorposts, with only a wall between me and them. They have defiled my holy name by their abominations that they have committed, so I have consumed them in my anger. Now let them and now let them put away their whoring and the dead bodies of their kings far from me, and I will dwell in their midst forever. As for you, son of man, describe to the house of Israel the temple, that they may be ashamed of their iniquities, and they shall and they shall wait and they shall measure the plan. And if they are ashamed of all that they have done, make known to them the sign of the temple, its arrangement, its exits, and its entrance, that is its whole design, and make known to them as well as all its statutes, and its whole design, all its laws, write it down in their sight, so that they may observe all its laws and all its statutes, and carry them out. This is the law of the temple, that the whole territory on the top of the mountain all around shall be most holy. Behold, this is the law of the temple. The altar. These are the measurements of the altar by cubits, the cubit being a cubit, and a handbreadth. Its base shall be 1 cubit high, and 1 cubit broad, with a rim of 1 span around its edge, and this shall be the height of the altar, from the base on the ground to the lower ledge, 2 cubits with a breadth of 1 cubit, and from the smaller ledge to the larger ledge, 4 cubits with a breadth of 1 cubit. And the altar are 4 cubits, and from the altar projecting upward 4 horns. The altar shall be squared 12 cubits. Alright guys, that will be the end of it.